Hey, what's going on, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud, and thank you, as always, for making us a part of your day. Hope everyone had a fantastic Father's Day weekend. I was blessed to be able to spend it with my family, my daughter, and so, I had a little time off, and it was a great day to be with family, but USC never sleeps, and it was a great day if you're a Trojan because a big one of these came through yesterday as elite four-star linebacker Talanoa Ely officially announced his commitment to USC. Now, it's been trending this way for a while. I've done multiple videos, written a bevy of articles basically predicting this would happen, not just me, many others. It's felt strongly for USC for quite some time. It came down to a battle of LA, as we kind of talked about before. Between UCLA Bruins and the USC Trojans, UCLA was a real viable shot. They absolutely had a shot, and I think at the end of the day, Talanoa and his family wanted to be in LA. He grew up in the Inland Empire, went to Orange Lutheran. Obviously, he's finishing his senior year in Hawaii, but, grew up a California kid. So wanted to be back in LA, and the rich tradition of Polynesian culture played a huge part. Now, USC has an immense tradition of Polynesian culture, which I'll get to, but UCLA has some too. I mean, it's not there's of all the other programs outside of USC, UCLA and maybe Notre Dame, and there's others out there, especially along the West Coast. If you go up the West Coast, even Washington has some good history, but UCLA is certainly in the fold when it does come to the history of Polynesian, the great Polynesian players. But obviously USC, especially at the linebacker position, is probably second to none. And Ely was asked by our good friend Scott Schrader after committing yesterday kind of what went into his commitment, and that was like the first thing he brought up was the location in LA and the Polynesian history and culture. And when you look at this class by itself, with the Polynesian roots that Ely will join with Kenai Pepe, with Kataunga, with Tapui. I mean, there's multiple, not just Polynesian players, but like elite Polynesian players that are going to be the top of the class and some of the top players in the country when this senior season is done. Ely, as of right now, is the fourth-ranked linebacker on 247 composite. I think he's sixth on 3 composite. You could make the argument he's the best linebacker in football. Now, I think most analysts and obviously all the rankings have Tyler Atkinson or Xavier Griffin as kind of 1-2. And Ely kind of comes a little bit after that in that 4, 5, 6 spot. But the dude's elite. I mean, it's kind of at that point when you're at that top. Some guys will really separate, but some is like, just what do you like more of? Like, which player do you just like more? And the rave reviews he gets from former teammates, from former opposition, in the Trinity League that played against him. Obviously, he played against the likes of Mater Dei and other players and other great Santa Margarita, other great schools in that Trinity League when he was at Orange Lutheran. So all of them rave like, I think Tapui tweeted out yesterday, like, T is elite or T is on another level or generational, I think actually is the word he used. So, and that's coming from a fellow, all Trinity League defensive player. So this is a huge get. We knew it was coming, so it doesn't feel like a surprise, but it definitely is kind of a sigh of relief that we can officially say Talanoa Ely is officially committed to the USC Trojan. Commitment shut down. We knew that prior to the announcement. He canceled all the rest of his visits, announced that it was just between the Bruins and the Trojans, and ultimately the Trojans get it done. A couple shout-outs. We'll keep this one short, and then I'm going to do another video here dropping soon kind of about not just the ramifications of this commitment, but like who's next. There's been a lot of chatter about Luke Waffle, so I'll drop that on the next video coming here in just a minute. Just getting a few more, talking to a few more people to hear some more insight on that. But obviously, got to shout out, Rob Ryan, who now the linebacker coach, went down to Hawaii with Coach Sean Nua, who should get some flowers as well, in this recruitment. And, obviously Talanoa said he can't wait to play for Rob Ryan. He's a legend. He's a personality in itself. I mean, the photo that dropped I'll throw it up here on the screen. The photo of Coach Rob Ryan that dropped when the announcement was made. I mean, stuff of legends. Absolute legends. It's hilarious. The guy is a personality and fits so much with the Hollywood, California pedigree, which is amazing. So shout out to him. Obviously, he got it across the finish line. Shout out to Coach Lynn, who's obviously the defensive coordinator. Shout out, obviously, Lincoln Riley and Chad Bowden, who, are always going to be very integral in every player's recruitment. But I don't know if I've done it enough. I certainly have talked to a lot of people about it, but I don't know if I've done enough on these videos. I know there's getting a lot more chatter out there. But Coach Dog deserves a ton of flowers. And for those that do not know who Coach Dog is, he is a member of the coaching staff, but his role is like Director of High School Recruiting Relationships. I think that's his actual title is, Director of Recruiting Relationships or something like that. But his role is purely, obviously he is in the coaching staff, he's at practices and stuff like that, so I'm not saying he doesn't play a role in that, but his primary role is like facilitating the relationship building between the high school recruits and USC. And all of these recruits, especially the Polynesian recruits and commits, almost the first thing they bring up is Coach Dog. When Talanoa was asked kind of what switched, because 3-4 months ago, there was really no connection between SC and Talanoa. And the obvious switch was, okay, Chad Bowden gets hired and, puts a new emphasis on California recruiting and stuff like that. And I think that certainly played a role. But he specifically and many others before him have said, like, Coach Dog. Like, my relationship to Coach Dog is everything. And so he has done such a good job facilitating these relationships, making these kids feel wanted, almost needed in a way, in terms of rebuilding the brand of USC. And not just beginning those relationships, but continuing them on all the way through. He did a lot last year, and he's going to be integral this year to keeping these commits committed all the way till signing day. So huge shout out, Coach Dog, for the work he's doing, and just an absolute necessity in this staff in today's recruiting day and world. And in this college football landscape that NIL means so, or on the surface says so much, it still is relationships, and Coach Dog has proven that that is the true underlying force to get these things over the finish line, because USC's NIL is now one of the best in football. We've talked about that ad nauseum, right? But it's not like, and I've said this, I know other fans don't want to believe this, it's not like they're overpaying players. They're basically matching competitive offers from the likes of Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Michigan, all the big programs. We've always said, like, USC just has to be, like, competitive with these offers. Like, yeah, there'll be some that they'll like offer more, but for the most part, it's just like, hey, Texas is offering $1 million, cool, we'll offer $1 million, we'll match it, and then think of everything else we have to offer, and think of the relationships. And Coach Dog is a huge reason why that's coming to fruition. So huge shout out there, huge get by getting Talanoa Ely. So be back here in just a bit talking Luke Waffle, a lot of good intel. Another huge priority recruit that could potentially, we'll see, become a USC Trojan commit. We'll talk about that in the next video. I'm Ryan Dart. Thanks as always. And as always, fight on.